What's up, guys? We're back again with another video. We're actually doing a pool day today, which is really nice. We're actually in a different setup. We're actually in the warehouse of Pride Foods. We actually have our own little studio and our little gym here, which is really nice because it lets us kind of work out, but also lets me shoot content without there being as much outside noise as well. And we also get to control the music, which is probably the biggest thing. So training here today, I'm actually really excited because we did just get a bunch of prime equipment. So I'm pretty excited to use those handles because I haven't used them yet. But mixing up my pre-workout shake. Normally I would have already drank this, but I wanted to make sure I get it to the video. Just have Man Sports Pump, doing a full scoop of this, 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, a little bit of salt, in about 6 ounces of water. Normally you would want to do the whole entire thing to make sure these ingredients saturate, but I just don't want to chug a bunch of water. And then intra-workout, have a scoop of ISO EAAs, the peach rings, essential amino acids, in a giant container of water, 32 ounces, a little bit more salt. So that is my pre-intra contraption. Use code Alfonso at Man Sports. I would say use code Fonz, but someone already has that, so that kind of sucks. But anyways, we're about to get to it, mix this up, and then we'll head into the workout. So hopefully you can still hear us. I have to turn that little fan on because it's really hot in this warehouse. But today we have more of a traditional pool day in the sense of we're doing hamstrings as well and back, not just back, but back and hamstrings. So first thing we'll probably start out with is this glute ham raise, just so I can warm up my hamstrings. If you never used one of these, it's actually pretty brutal compared to a seated leg curl or a lying leg curl. I've actually have started to prefer it in a way because it really works my hamstrings. And then we'll move into some lat movement, back movement, RDLs, finish up with some biceps. Just like last time as well, 3 sets of really everything. First set is usually around 8 to 10 reps. And then the second and third set, more around the 10 to 12 rep range. Definitely pushing that failure envelope as well. But that's how I'll be on every exercise moving forward, just because my coach wants me to do a little more volume. So that is more of the routine per each exercise we do today. Can't talk. Now what we're doing is we're going into our back movements. So we warmed up our hamstrings with the glute ham raise. Now we have 4 back movements. Probably going to do a lat pull down, a basic row, some type of single arm row, and potentially a chest supported row. Probably one of the biggest things when it comes to back as well is I think a lot of people make the mistake of pulling with their hands, which it sounds logical, but what I tell people is you want to pull with your elbows to really engage the lats or your back or whatever area that you're pulling from, and also where your elbows are when you're pulling. So the first exercise we're doing is just a basic lat pull down. I will say I have my chest a little bit back, not arched, but a little bit pressed back because I'm really trying to target my lower lats. So my elbows are coming straight down, my chest is back. I'm not arched and pulling straight down to my chest because that would hit a little bit more of the upper back. I'm going to hit a little more of my lower lats. So that's the first movement we're going to move into, and we'll move into 3 more after that. Third movement we're moving into now is a little more of a low row. We're actually nice enough to have this attachment right here that allows us to kind of move into a lower movement. So you can tell I have the seat right here. I'll sit down and pull with this attachment, which is actually a really good prime attachment. So same thing like all of them. We're trying to target more of my lower lats. So again, we're pulling with our elbows. A lot of people what they end up doing is they end up shrugging in a way. And I guess if you're trying to hit more of your middle of your back, your traps and your rhomboids, probably not a bad idea. But personally, I'm trying to hit a lot of my lower back. So we're pulling with our elbows, really engaging the lats entirely. So that is the third movement, 3 sets, just like all the other ones. So we're gonna get to it. movement now, third one for back. We're moving over to a T-bar row. So you can tell I got the barbell, and then we actually have this attachment, which is really nice. You can set on it to have the grips. Somehow got it over there in that corner since we really don't have like an open corner to put it anywhere. So same rep scheme on this, same sets as well. Let's do it. The fifth movement, fourth movement on back, moving on to some lat pull downs. This would be our last movement before we get into our hip hinge movement, which would be RDLs, and then we'll finish up with some biceps. So we have 3 sets here, same rep scheme as well. We're gonna get into it. So now for our 6th exercise, probably my favorite one, and the last like really heavy working set is RDLs. On here I normally warm up to 4 plates, so that's what we're about to do, and to a top set of around 8 to 10, and then obviously 2 not back off sets, but 2 other working sets of the 10 to 12 rep range. So I'm gonna work myself up to 405 here. If I had to give a really big tip when it comes to RDLs, is I feel like a lot of people, they really struggle with like controlling the weight, and it's mostly because of like their foot placement in a way. So whenever I'm setting up for an RDL, I'm always trying to stay like shoulder width apart, maybe even a little bit more out my feet, because I feel like a lot of times when they lean back, they actually end up losing control, and it's because their feet are way too narrow. So maybe put in your feet a little more shoulder width apart, or just plain shoulder width, driving your hips back, keeping the bar as close to your shins as you possibly can. And I think another thing as well is keeping your back as flat as possibly can. I notice a lot of people, whenever they do an RDL, they start to go back, and then their back breaks, and then it's no longer like an RDL. You're kind of doing like a really just like a weird looking deadlift at that point. And plus, you're probably going to prone yourself to injury, if I can talk. So RDLs, shoulder width apart, bar right here, drive your hips back, you're driving back, bars as close to your shins as you possibly can. My cue is whenever you feel like your back's about to break, that's when you want to shoot back up. You can squeeze the glutes, or you can still keep your hips pushed back. I know a lot of people don't like squeezing their glutes because it kind of leaves your lower back exposed. It's more or less just a personal preference. Personally, I don't squeeze my glutes just because I feel like my lower back gives a little bit, so I want to be a little cautious there. But we're driving back, coming up, driving back, coming up. So work up to 4 plates here, and then that'll be our top set. So we just wrapped up RDLs. Those are actually really heavy today. I think it's just mostly because I am starting to really get into a deficit, starting to really ramp up the cardio already. Kind of like really front loading this prep in the sense of the amount of work I need to get done, instead of not rushing towards the end, but really pushing it at the end. So I'm starting to somewhat feel the effects of that, and I really felt it today. So now we're about to move into bicep curls. 3 sets. I will say, I normally treat my bicep and my triceps, like on my push and pull days, as more like metabolic work. I will say people might have a different view about that, but personally I just like getting as big as a pump as I can, because I do have my own separate arm day, which I really do focus on reps there and the tempo. But wrap up with this, wrap up the video, and we'll be all good to go. was the pool session. Hopefully you guys take away something from that. A lot of different cues. Really didn't talk a whole lot in that video just because I was mostly like ready to work. It was a pretty long day and I was excited when I see the train, especially training in this garage or the warehouse because of how hot it is. Like my hat is completely soaked and I'm probably gonna have to get rid of this one or wash it or do something with it because it is drenched. But like I said, I hope you took away something from that. That was a pool session, more of my traditional pool session. And my final thoughts of the video, I want to keep this like a routine thing. Something, man, that's very important, and I don't know if like this is just a rant, I guess, from like social media, is that it's very important, man, to like provide value, I feel like, in the sense of like when people watch, like hopefully when people watch this video, they found value within me training, whether that's actual knowledge from the training or just some type of inspiration, and it's just not like mindless entertainment. Something, man, I guess I've started to like really realize or notice with social media of like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook even, is a lot of people, they do things mostly just for entertainment purposes only and not for adding value or education to people's life. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or I'm hating on it, but sometimes I feel like as society, we have slowly started to like dumb down and do things mostly for the likes and the social media clout instead of actually providing value and delivering results to people that can actually make a difference. So that's just something that was on my mind all day today because like I'm looking at different influencers for Pride because we're trying to like really grow the name and get it out there more with more and more influencers. And also like I take a look for Let's Work as well. And we always find this like collision with finding like really good influencers at times because a lot of them, man, they just post like mindless entertainment and like that's not what we're looking for, man. We're looking for value. We're looking for inspiration, something that can actually change someone's life. So that was just like my closing thoughts. I know that was something completely unrelated to like training and life as a whole, but I think it could go a long ways, man, because I feel like in the future it's going to be really value driven and no longer entertainment driven because people are tired of consuming that mindlessly, I feel like. So those are my closing thoughts. That was the pool session. Hopefully you guys liked it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tell a friend. We are currently, I believe, 29 weeks in 3 days for my show. I believe I pulled that up correctly. So have a long ways to go, but nonetheless, I've done it once and I'll do it again. So thank you guys for watching. Peace.